Hey everyone, Matron here, bringing you another Starcraft 2 commentary. This time a game between BratOK, spawning as the yellow Terran, and his opponent spawning as the red Protoss WhiteRa. This is going to be a best of 3 series between the Protoss and Terran players here. We see them getting underway with a good luck, have fun. And the map will be Jungle Basin. So the big thing about Jungle Basin is the back door is protected by rocks, and that is actually where your natural is. So your natural is quite well protected by the early destructible rocks. Again, those rocks with 3 armor and 2000 HP take quite a while to get through with early units and just a few of them. So it's going to be quite easily to get up an expansion, and because of that we see a lot of 2-base play coming on Jungle Basin. Also we see 2-base play and 2-base timing attacks because these third bases in the center of the map are just so difficult to hold, and the bases on the side, this base on the left hand side, the ramps open towards BratOK, but the back door of this map, or of this base, actually opens up to the destructible rocks of WhiteRa. So those side bases quite difficult to get up and keep, just because both players have access to them, and then the center also difficult to get up and keep. So we're going to see a lot of 2-base play, and I assume both players will try to expand early on here. Pretty easy to defend your ramp against small ramp, so easy to wall off as Terran or as Protoss. Duckload getting down a gateway here, and Duckload is his sponsor, so it might be bouncing around between Duckload and WhiteRa as the game goes on here. And BratOK getting up his barracks, both players getting up a gas relatively the same time. WhiteRa going to try to do a little bit of harassment here while his shield's hold up on this probe. Pretty typical standard probe harass early on, especially against Terran, as they do have to build their buildings with those SCVs. They're quite susceptible to those annoying probes. And WhiteRa just going to be able to get as much information as he can. We see BratOK paying him back a little bit with some pylon attacking here, but nothing too big, and this SCV might actually be trapped between these two buildings, so it looks like that's going to go down for BratOK. He's not going to have any scout in here, and after this cybernetic score he's not going to know whether WhiteRa is going to open up with another gate or two, or go for a Stargate or robotics, any sort of higher tech. So BratOK might have to send out a few of these Marines and another SCV to scout. Looks like this probe for WhiteRa is going to be in the center of the map, going to see this Marine coming, and very smart, going to pull back, does not want to lose that probe. Right now he's 1 probe ahead because he was able to kill off that SCV. And it looks like we have BratOK going to be making a proxy factory here. So he may try to float this factory off and land it in the base of WhiteRa, but WhiteRa has a good pylon position here. It's going to allow him to warp in units on the low ground, as well as spot that factory if it tries to lift off and land in his base. WhiteRa just producing off of 1 gateway right now, so it looks like he actually saw the SCV move out from the center watchtower, and he's going to send his first Stalker over there. See a Twilight Council going up for WhiteRa as well. So 1 gate into Twilight Council, and now he's going to be able to find this factory. So BratOK is not going to be able to do much with this factory right now. This SCV is going to go down, and now WhiteRa is going to be pecking away at this factory. Back in BratOK's base, he is getting up a bunker. He's afraid of any sort of early pressure from the Protoss player, but that is not going to be coming, as WhiteRa is just on the 1 gate at the moment. And BratOK is getting up a starport, so perhaps that factory, which could have been used for a liftoff and land in WhiteRa's base, now just going to be used to create this starport, and BratOK might be going for more of an MMM build. We see this Stalker out and about, trying to pick off more SCVs. We see that so far WhiteRa has been able to take down 2 SCVs, and BratOK has not been able to take down any units for WhiteRa. Checking out the units lost tab, so there's 2 SCVs right now. So combined with the fact that those SCVs do need to be on the buildings to create them, it's going to give WhiteRa a little bit of an economic advantage. And if we look, he has 28 harvesters compared to the 20 of BratOK. So BratOK is concentrating on 2 gas right now, and he's also teching up with a quick factory and starport. Not many units. We see a poke by WhiteRa here, just wants to make sure that BratOK is making defenses, and he does have that bunker. And now WhiteRa could start working on the back door of BratOK. Instead, it looks like he's going to take this opportunity to get down a Nexus and get down his expansion. BratOK just wants to check this back door as he did see those stalkers at his front. He wants to make sure the back door is not being attacked there. And now we see WhiteRa transferring some of these probes over. Again, he's so far ahead in the economy right now, 32 compared to the 23 harvesters. The mules of the Terran player are going to help a little bit to even that up. But off of 2 bases right now, WhiteRa can start macroing up. We see he's getting 3 gates up. He's also gotten up a robotics facility. He's not yet created anything out of that Twilight Council. So very interesting that he placed that down, as he has not quite used it yet. A lot of times we see that early Twilight Council means that Blink Stalkers are going to be in play. And now we see a robotics bay, so it looks like he's going to abandon that Twilight Council, sending over this observer, and he's just going to see a few units for BratOK. BratOK getting a tech lab on this factory. So interesting choice here. We may see some Thors, perhaps some tanks, and a reactor going down on this barracks as well. So BratOK is now just getting his second command center underway as well, hoping to keep even with WhiteRa, as WhiteRa has pulled ahead a little bit now on 3 gas and taking the mineral advantage as well. We do have a Banshee out for BratOK. He is not yet moved out with that. So BratOK doing what all good Terrans do, and that is harass early on Banshees and sometimes even Hellions, but it looks like the Banshee is going to be the play in this one. And now we're going to have another Banshee coming from the left and right. These Banshees are going to, with Cloak, are going to be attacking the exact same time. An observer is in position already, waiting for that Banshee, along with a number of Stalkers. So good scouting on WhiteRa's part. And we see the back door. It looks like there's no observer down here. He does have a few units in play, does WhiteRa, but again, without any sort of observer, he's not going to be able to take down this Banshee. And the Banshee, with 3 kills so far, going to try to take down as many probes as it can. 4 kills. We see the Banshee on the right hand side taking down the 1 probe that was on that watchtower, and now finally WhiteRa is going to come back with this observer, and BratOK going to uncloak. He does not want to waste any more of that energy. Looks like he was running out as well. So being a little bit effective with these Banshees. If anything, it brought the mineral line, or brought those probes off the mineral line for WhiteRa. So really disrupted his economy for just a few seconds, and it was enough time for BratOK to get up his own second base here. We see the first Colossus coming out onto the field for WhiteRa. If we check out the army tab for both players very light in the army, especially considering that BratOK has a few Banshees there, and WhiteRa has that Colossus making up a large portion of his army, just 1425 to 1200. Neither player even hitting 100 in the army count yet. And BratOK just doing his best, transferring some SCVs over to this natural. Wants to get up and running again, dropping those mules at the natural. Do not want to drop the mules at your main once you do have a natural up, as that's going to just mine out your main a lot faster than it really needs to be, and it's going to be an advantage to have 2 mining bases up. So it looks like we had a little bit of repair on these Banshees. 5 kills on the one and just 1 on the other. They're gaining energy. And if WhiteRa does not keep these observers with his army, the Banshees could be quite effective. See these Banshees in the middle here might be intercepted by these Stalkers. Stalkers can take down Banshees quite quickly. The observer coming in here, one of the Stalkers going down, and a Banshee going to be going down as well. And now these Stalkers could be too much for these Banshees. The firepower of the Stalkers being diminished as they do go down. And it looks like that Banshee was able to clean up those 3 Stalkers. But BratOK losing out in that battle, as the 2 Banshees are worth a lot more than the 3 Stalkers. If we look at the army tab, it looks like BratOK has gotten up some tanks. He does have siege mode. He's also gotten out Vikings and medevacs, so going for kind of a potpourri of units here. A few medevacs, Marines, Marauders, tanks, and Vikings, hoping to counter the army of WhiteRa. He does have out 2 Colossus, now adding a number of gates. He will soon be on 6 gates, which you can support off of these 2 bases. And now it looks like he's going to push out some sort of timing push here. As soon as he's going to have his 3rd Colossus about to pop out, should be rallied towards his army here. And it looks like he's going to try to secure a 3rd, but again, the 3rd base is very hard to get up on this map, as they are out in the middle. And the watchtowers, we do see that WhiteRa controls one and BratOK controls the other. So as he sees units milling around here, he's going to be able to see that that third base is up and in play for the Protoss player, and he may choose this opportunity to move out with his army. Looks like he's going to do just that. So now moving down with these tanks, the timing's going to be critical here. If BratOK is able to get these tanks into siege mode before the WhiteRa attacks, he could have the advantage. As we see, he is able to do that, and now he's going to try to protect these siege tanks from the charge lots in the back. But it looks like these Colossi are going to be able to come in here and rip apart these units for BratOK. Just not enough of an army, and he did have these Colossus with the extended thermal lance, so able to take down the Marines and Marauders quite quickly. And now trying to clean up the Vikings, as the Vikings are trying to take down the last Colossus here. And now WhiteRa pushing in with these charge lots, so that's what he did use the Twilight Council for eventually. And charge lots so good against those tanks, able to close that distance quite quickly. And now going to be focusing down the units as they do pop out of the production structures of BratOK here. And these charge lots are going to take on this ball of SCVs. Medevacs in the back doing their best to heal up the SCVs. A few Marauders and Marines behind trying to clean up the Zerg, or the Zealots. And it looks like BratOK about to give the GG here, as that replay site does pop up there. That is not something that he said, that's inserted whenever you do download the replays. And there's the GG. So BratOK losing this first game. We saw both players get up expansions, but WhiteRa just pushed out at the exact right moment. He had those 6 gates up, was able to have this pylon in the middle and continue to reinforce and push out those Colossus. BratOK kind of went I don't know, for all sorts of different units here. He had Banshees up, he had tanks, medevacs, Vikings. Feel like maybe he went for a little too many tech paths. He did have Cloak on those Banshees as well. So if he kind of went for a more simple army, just a few unit types instead of all the different types, he might have had enough army to take down the forces of WhiteRa. But WhiteRa was just outmassing him, and he did have those Colossus, which were quite good against the Marines, Marauders, and the tanks. Those charge lots so good as well, closing that distance quickly and able to shred it into those tanks. So we do see that WhiteRa was able to take this game 1 of this series. I'll go ahead and bring you game 2 right now. So thanks for watching this one. Take care.